Welcome back into another edition of the PowerMizzou.com podcast. It is Thursday night. I think Gabe DeArmond here. Kind of struggling to figure out what day of the week it is. Honestly, it's been a week, but it's been a great week. If you guys aren't sick of seeing me and hearing me at this point, it's honestly never going to happen. So appreciate you being back here with us. If you're watching live on YouTube, do me a favor, just hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. You'll get notifications when we go live and all that. And just tell everybody what we're doing here. If you're listening on the podcast, which I'll put together afterwards, just share it on social media, say good things, give us a 5-star review, all that. Want to remind you that our preview and post-game shows all year long brought to you by Yuengling, America's oldest brewery. I don't know what the Texas situation is. We might have to ask our guest coming up in just a minute. We're going to talk Texas A&M. I don't know if you can get that down in College Station. I know if you are at home in Missouri watching the game, you can certainly get Yuengling just about anywhere you want. And you can enjoy Mizzou and Texas A&M. That's going to be 11 a.m. on ABC on Saturday morning in a game that, frankly, I think determines Missouri's season. I've said this over and over this week. Everybody thinks Alabama's the biggest game of the season. I think this Saturday at Kyle Field is the biggest game of the season. And we are going to talk about it here on the Yuengling Opponent Preview Show. Popping Carter Karels onto the screen from GigEm247, the Texas A&M site. Carter, you're like the 900th new person I've met just via video stream this week. So what's up, man? Appreciate you.
Hey, thanks for having me, and welcome to 24/7 Sports, man. Great to have you on.
Yeah, it's been a great week. Have enjoyed all the content and the exposure and getting to know everybody and all that. And honestly, just at this point, looking forward to just a Saturday of actually covering a football game, which will be a little bit more normalcy. I was saying before you came on, like, I think this is the biggest game of Missouri's season. What does this mean to A&M's season? Like where does Saturday go based on either result?
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't want to say they're quite playing with house money. There's probably not as much pressure with Missouri as Missouri has, because it is a first-year head coach for A&M. But with the schedule that A&M has, if they were to win this game, it would set themselves up to really go on a run here. And, so they lose the game. It's not great. No one likes a loss, but it's not like the end of the world, because it's not like anyone was expecting this team to win the national championship. But they win this game, and they could maybe make a run at going to the playoff. So, yeah, I think that's how they view it. After this, they'd have a bye week. They'd go at Mississippi State. So they could start 6-1 going into a home game against LSU with 6 straight wins. And my goodness, what a position they'd be in. So not quite the stakes as maybe it is for Missouri, but still, a lot on the line here.
That's kind of what I said I was doing. I don't know. This is my 9th, 10th podcast of the day. I don't know where I said it. I say everything somewhere, but I said, I think the pressure here is more on Missouri just because of what you just said. Like Mike Elko, I mean, look, if he goes 4-8, maybe everybody's mad at him, but there's not a lot that can make Texas A&M fans mad at Mike Elko. They're just happy to have somebody that's not the last guy right now, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. I think the only reason there is a little pressure is because, hey, you fire the last guy and agree to pay a $76 million buyout. The new guy better be better, right? Like this better be a better option. And you do look at the schedule that they have, and you say, okay, they need to show that they can, beat the teams that they're supposed to. It was a great step that they beat Florida and Arkansas. The question is, can they win the big game? Didn't beat Notre Dame. There's 3 other huge home games this year: Missouri, LSU, and Texas. So losing 4 of those, losing 3 of those, that wouldn't be great. But, yeah, at the end of the day, it's going to take a whole lot to be really upset at a first-year head coach.
Let's be honest. Losing 3 of those wouldn't be the worst thing for A&M fans if the one you win's the right one. And we all know which one that is.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
All right. So were you, I mean, you're talking about winning the games they should win. Were you surprised at all by the line on this game?
Not exactly. I think both of these teams are hard to gauge right now. For Missouri, I mean, I don't know how many people were as high on Missouri before the year before, as me, because I do the FWAA Super 16 poll, and I had them fifth going into the year, and really thought that they could go 11-1, and they well still could, but it just hasn't been as amazing and impressive as maybe we thought that they would be. Right. And then for A&M, okay, Marcel Reed, Connor Wigman, there's some questions on who's kind of the long-term option there. And then also the Notre Dame game was just such a confusing result with how bad the offense looked that day. Is it because Connor Wigman was hurt, or is it because, hey, the offense is just not really going to be good for most of the year? And it's probably a mixture of both. But I think this is the game where, both teams have kind of won the games that they should have. They've beaten some bad teams, but this is now a game between ranked teams. And if you're worth anything, you're winning this kind of game. And so, I think there's probably some confusion on just how good both teams are, and that's probably why they're just giving the edge to the home team. But, yeah, I think Missouri fans – yeah.
2.5 points indicates to me if this game's in Columbia, Missouri's probably favored by 2.5 points. I think they're basically saying this game's a coin flip.
Exactly. Coin flip. And I figured it'd be a coin flip going into the year, even though I really like Missouri. It's just, it's hard to win SEC road games against teams that have as much talent as A&M does. And just like, next year, it's going to be hard for A&M to win at Missouri. So I get it, but yeah, it can be confusing.
All right, so just give me the easy, short answer on this one. Marcel Reed is starting at quarterback, yes? Is there an easy, short answer?
I don't think there is an easy, short answer.
Okay.
I think that's the expectation, but game time decisions, you never know.
Okay, so, well, first of all, I like the background here. Eli Drinkwitz gushes about Marcel Reed for like 2.5 minutes in his opening statement. And like I had talked to Bud Elliott 6 hours before that, and he said, look, I'm talking to people. I think Carter Wigman's coming back, and I think he might play. So I said, Eli, you sound like you're convinced Marcel Reed's the starter, no doubt. He looked at me like that was the stupidest question he'd been asked in 5 years. So I thought either this is what he fully believes, or he is playing some sort of college football coach galaxy brain game where he wants Mike Elko to think that he has done no preparation for Connor Wigman, and then he wants him to play Connor Wigman, who he's actually done preparation for all week, because this is what college football coaches do. And 2 drives into the game, none of it matters because everything the other guy is doing anyway.
It definitely had a galaxy brain feel to me, because how can you know definitively? We don't know. When we talked to Mike Elko yesterday, he was as optimistic as he's been about Connor, saying that he's been throwing more, saying that he's been involved more in practice. Now, he hasn't suited up the last couple games during pregame warmups, so he wasn't even a game time decision the last couple weeks. But if you're Mike Elko and you're looking at, hey, Bowling Green, okay, you can go without starting, Connor Wigman there. Arkansas, they're not the biggest world beater in the world, but Missouri, that could be a game where you're kind of saving a guy for. So I think there's a chance there, and we're obviously going to learn a lot more during pregame warmups. But yeah, I thought that was kind of a galaxy brain. And honestly, how funny has it been this whole week watching both of these coaches kind of like doing these like Mike Elko yesterday in his radio show saying, oh, Braden Cook taking shots at the 12th man. And it's just like, no, he's not. It's
right.
Just they do this kind of stuff all the time.
Yeah, college football, utterly ridiculous. But hey, it's great for us. Be as ridiculous as you want. So let me ask hasn't watched a ton of A&M, but did watch some of the Notre Dame game. Why would Connor Wigman start? Like, I mean, I saw him play one game this year. It was a disastrous. I understand Notre Dame is a good defense, no question. I don't know that Marcel Reed is an all SEC quarterback, but the offense has looked better, albeit against competition that is not Notre Dame. He's won 3 games in a row. From the outsider perspective, I don't understand why, even if he's healthy now, Connor Wigman would be the starter.
Yeah, I'm still Team Wigman. And the reason why is what we saw from him in 2023 is a way better version of what we've seen from Marcel Reed in 2024. And in the whole offseason, now in the spring, it was hard to gauge because Connor was still coming off the season-ending foot injury he had last September. So he wasn't 100%, didn't look that great. But in preseason camp, he was clearly the best quarterback. Marcel Reed certainly is someone who can make the wow plays with his feet and, can launch the deep ball and can make plays on the run. But, consistency hasn't always been there. He's not somebody that always makes the right throw. He'll make an amazing throw like he has to the Swedish tight end that A&M has, a couple touchdown passes in back-to-back weeks, had a great deep throws there. But 3 of 17 on throws of 20-plus yards. So consistency is not there for Reed. Wigman, it's kind of a question of, okay, is he 23 Wigman or is he Notre Dame Wigman? Because if he's Notre Dame Wigman, Marcel Reed's the better quarterback because Notre Dame Wigman was pretty bad. But 23 Wigman is way better than 24 Reed. So it's kind of like hard to know until you see him again. And so that's why – last few weeks, if you wanted Marcel Reed to be the guy long term, you would have hoped that he would have progressed and gotten better and better and better. But really what it seemed like was as defense got more tape on him and as teams kind of learned how to defend him and stuff, he wasn't getting better. He wasn't making those steps. He was either plateauing or maybe taking a slight step back. And so I think this is still a wide open situation where maybe you dress out both guys. Maybe you start Marcel Reed because, hey, he's 3-0, and can you take a guy out who's, B-0 as a starter? And then maybe if he struggles, then you turn to Wigman. It's a weird game right now because I think there's a lot of mixed feelings there, but I tend to lean to Wigman just because when we've seen him at his best, he's been far better than what we've seen from Reed right now.
All right, so whoever the quarterback is, even if it's both quarterbacks, you obviously know way more about this A&M team than I do. You correct me if I'm wrong here. What I have thought about this game all week is A&M really has one way that it needs to win this game. It needs to win this game 2017, 24-21, in that range. If this game gets up to 27-30, I think Missouri can win a game that way. I'm not sure A&M can. Do you disagree with that?
I fully agree with that. A&M is an ugly winner. They win ugly. They've done it against Bowling Green. They've done it against Arkansas, even Florida. Even they got up big on Florida, kind of hung on to the lead. They're just not going to beat anybody 38-35 this year. That's not their game. Their whole thing is limit mistakes and kind of grind out the win. So win the turnover battle. Don't give up any big plays. They're going to try to, play off and yeah, you can have the underneath stuff, but you're not going to have the 50-yard touchdown to Luther Burden. That's their hope and their goal. And then, win the turnover battle. It's been something they've done every game with the exception of the Notre Dame game, and it's really worked out in their favor. And then you think about it, they've got a really good running back that can fight for extra yards in Le'Veon Moss and a really good defensive line that can get after the quarterback. So when you're playing with a lead late in the fourth quarter, we saw it against Arkansas, you get to feed Moss, and he has 90 rushing yards in the fourth quarter against Arkansas. And then on the flip side, you're having to throw it on every down, and Nick Horton's going after you on that defensive line. So this is a team that plays well with the lead late in the game. They can wear down an opponent and grind out that 20-17 win. But if they're down and if they're going to have to match you score for score, they don't have the firepower to do that.
Mm-hmm. So matchup of the game to me, by the way, a team that doesn't want to give up the 50-yard pass, Missouri's the perfect opponent. They haven't done it all year. So, if they do it this week, it'll be the first time. But matchup of the game to me, you mentioned Nick Scorton, and obviously it's not just him. I mean, he's the headliner, but, they got dudes on that defensive line really all over the place. To me, this game from Missouri's perspective is Armand Mimbo, Marcus Bryant, the offensive tackles. Can you keep Scorton and his teammates off of Brady Cook and keep him upright? Is that, from A&M's perspective, is that the matchup you think they've got to win this?
Yeah, I think maybe another one is their nickel spot and Luther Burden. I think Texas A&M had a very, very good cornerback at nickelback in Tyreek Chappelle. Went down with a season-ending injury in practice 2 games into the season. And since then, they plugged in Jaden Hill. He's really struggled. Gave up a 75-yard touchdown, 3rd play of the game against Arkansas. He'll make plays every now and then, but from a coverage perspective, he gets beat a lot. They moved a UAB transfer, BJ Mays, had never played nickel in his life, played him a lot against Arkansas. Could he be somebody that sneakily starts in this game? They had him talk to the media this week. Only 2 players talked to the media this week, and he was one of them, which made me think maybe this is somebody that's going to play a little bit more at that nickel spot. But if they don't get serviceable play from that position, to me, that's where I think A&M gets beat, is Luther Burden having 150 yards, right? Like that's kind of the worst case scenario where it's 38-35, or maybe not 38-35, but Missouri gets to 30-plus points, and A&M just can't catch up to them because they just keep getting burned down the field. Bowling Green had a lot of success with these kind of explosive plays. So did Florida and Arkansas. It's been kind of the Achilles heel of this A&M defense. Great defensive line, great defense for most of the game, but every now and then they give up that 70-yard touchdown where you're like, what just happened there? Bowling Green ran a 40-yard reverse, and it's like, oh my gosh, like what in the world? So I think that is, to me, the biggest matchup, that nickel versus Missouri's receiving core.
Yeah, I don't know if Brady Cook and Connor Bazelak are still friends or not, but if Connor Bazelak has maybe shared any scouting reports on that A&M defense with Brady. But look, the Luther thing is interesting because he's had a good year. He hasn't had a great year. He was sick in one game. But when Missouri's needed a play, he's made it. But I've said this week, if you're the guy that, hey, we say he's an All-American, we say he's a Biletnikoff Award winner, he's going to be a top 15 pick. If that's who he is, I think this game is where he needs to go prove that. And like you said, it's A&M's worst nightmare if he has 150. If I'm Missouri, I'm going, this is when I need, 150 primetime Luther Burden in a game.
Exactly. Yeah. And, I think A&M knows full well that Luther Burden's going to be the guy. And I think maybe the confidence A&M would have is he hasn't done it really all year. And I mean, he's had good games, but no, Biletnikoff winner games, right? And, this passing game for Missouri hasn't really gotten going yet. Now they've run the ball fairly well, but I think, going into the year, you could have made a case that this would be one of the best passing offenses in the country, and it hasn't happened. So that's kind of the question for me. Can it break through in this game? And if it does, is it because of that nickel spot?
Yeah. All right. Look, I normally don't ask for predictions, but I read yours on your site earlier, so I already know it's out there in public. So just kind of give our listeners and our subscribers an idea kind of how you think this goes down on Saturday, and then give me like a variable. Give me okay, my prediction's way wrong if this happens.
Yeah. I have Missouri 30, Texas A&M 24. So not very popular right now with the Aggie fans, but
I did notice you're 5-0 this year though on making picks. So you must have picked Notre Dame.
I did. Yeah, they didn't like me then either. But no, I went a lot back back and forth. I think we're going to see one or two ways of this game. It's either Missouri gets to 30 and A&M can't keep up, or A&M wins a grinded out, game where it's 20-17. And so I think if Missouri continues to not be as explosive and can't finish in the red zone, kicking a lot of field goals, that's how A&M wins this game, is if they just kind of continue to do what they've been doing. Missouri wins, they break through. I really think Missouri is kind of the X factor here, whereas I think we know a lot's been made about the quarterback situation. I think no matter who's at quarterback for A&M, it's going to be a similar team. It's going to be a team that wants to grind it out, not the greatest offense, but can win a lot of football games if they win the turnover battle and Moss has success. Missouri's the X factor. Can they be the team that we expected them to be, or are they kind of the same of what they've been? So I'm predicting it'll be somewhat in the middle, but probably closer to Missouri breaking out. And so that's why I have 30-24 Missouri.
See, I like this. We just talked for 22 minutes. I think we agreed on everything. Like, you see this one exactly the same way I do. If it gets over 24 points, it's a Missouri game. If it doesn't, if Missouri is trotting Blake Craig out 4 more times this game, I mean, they love the kid. He's got a strong leg, but he's a little too involved in this football team right now. So I think they'd prefer he has an easy trip. But Carter, I know we've been following your guys' coverage and tons of stuff all week long. I know you'll have it on Saturday. Appreciate it. And, you get to meet my guy down there this weekend, and look forward to working with you guys.
Absolutely. Congrats again, man. Appreciate having me.
All right. Thanks. We'll catch up on Saturday. That is Carter Karels from GigEm247, the A&M site on the 24/7 Sports Network, where we are now every single day. You're home for Mizzou coverage. You can see, I just wanted to change the banner across the bottom of the screen for a minute. 75% off. Guys, that's going until midnight. So go to powermizzou.com. I think most of you guys probably subscribe already. We have had an overwhelming response this week. If you are not yet a subscriber, it is $26.85 for the year. That's only true till midnight. That's 6 more hours. That price is going to change tomorrow. I don't know if it's going to change to full price, but I do know it's going to change. So don't say I didn't warn you. Go to powermizzou.com, 75% off, and you can check it out. Want to thank Carter for hanging out with us. And really, you guys should go over to their site. They have a ridiculous amount of content on this game. Also want to thank our sponsors. As always, we moved places, but these shows, our YouTube stuff is remaining the same. Pre-game, post-game shows brought to you all year long by America's oldest brewery, Yuengling. We encourage you to lager up, drink responsibly. Grab yourself a Yuengling. I don't know what's on TV tonight, because I thought I might be watching the baseball playoffs, but that got taken care of in 2 games. So I don't really have anything to do. No football till Saturday. No college football. There's probably something on tonight. We'll go check it out, but grab yourself a Yuengling, watch it. Even better, I tell you what, we got like 1 million videos on powermizzou.com. We're breaking down this game from every angle. Go watch that instead, but still grab your beverage and do it. But thanks, guys. It's been a full week, and it is not over. Chamber tomorrow morning. Gerard's got a preview of the game that's going to go up. He's taking off about 7:30 to make his way down to College Station for Saturday morning's game. Connor McClain also going to be down there for us. We will have wall-to-wall stuff for you all weekend long. Thanks for hanging out. Once again, like, comment, subscribe, share it on social media. Do all those things. We will talk to you next time. Be back after the game on Saturday afternoon from College Station.